Hey everyone, it's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. It is Monday, October 20th, and I'm going to jump right into it. So, many of you know I've put a post out a couple days ago about some of the upcoming candidate interviews that I have coming out this week. I know many of you saw the first series I did that is on the page. There's quite a few of them for this year's Pittsfield municipal elections. So check those out. There's some school committee ones, city council ones. All you got to do is scroll through the page. They're all there. Yes, I do upload also to Instagram and I do upload also to YouTube, but 98% of the audience has always been on Facebook. So I think the YouTube page has maybe 700 followers on there. I'll share a link for people who want to follow on there. I think Instagram is 700 to 800 followers on there. And of course, the Facebook page is just shy of 12,000 people. So we're a Facebook community. That's just how it is. This audience has always primarily been Facebook. But you can check them out on all those platforms. I did open up a TikTok page for It's Pittsfield Tonight recently. Now that TikTok is primarily all the controversy around it, about who owned it, about data mining, about all that stuff. So I finally did make that leap because now it's an American-controlled company, and I think that's great. So that being said, the interviews I did this weekend, which I promoted coming up this week, which would be Earl Persip, who's running at-large, and he's a current at-large counselor and city council vice president. Kathy Moody, who is running for Ward 7, Sarah Hathaway, who many of you know from the Pittsfield School Committee. Also, Sarah Hathaway was the mayor of Pittsfield at one time, and she is running this year for City Council at large, and Sarah Mule, who I had on, who's running for School Committee. I have rescheduled with all of them, and I had to do that because we filmed at Park Square, which I have been doing. Many of you have noticed most of the interviews were at Park Square. There was a few outside of City Hall. And for those of you, also most of you know that when I go up to a shoot, it is me. There's no camera crew. There's no audio engineers. There's nobody with me behind the cameras. It's me doing this. I bring 3 to 4 cameras to each shoot. I dial everything the best I can, and then I've got to be in front of the camera to obviously do the interview and host. So what's happening, I really have no control over. Sometimes cameras kick out on me and I don't know till I get home and I'm rendering footage. All sorts of different things can happen. Most of the time I have it dialed in, and that's why I also have multiple cameras. Rarely are you ever going to have every camera go down. So I've been able to recover on the few times that there were issues. Well, this time something happened that I couldn't have planned for. Something happened that I could have never thought of. So before I totally get into that, so my mics that I use, they're filtered, meaning I have them set to filter out about 85% of all background noise. That way we can film at a location like Park Square, and it filters out 85% of the traffic sounds. Even if a fire truck goes by with sirens blaring or a police car with sirens, which has happened in interviews, it filters them out enough where it does not disrupt the interview. Well, these interviews that we did on yesterday, on Sunday, about 300 to 400 starlings were in a tree and moving from tree to tree at Park Square. And for those of you who don't know what a starling is, I know most of you do, it's a bird. But anyways, the filters on the mic are set for a certain decibel range. And these birds their frequency was above that. So I got home to the office and I rendered in all the footage. And as soon as I went through the interviews and started listening to it, all you could hear was these hundreds of birds screaming their heads off. I couldn't believe it. It ruined the interviews. And, you could still pretty much hear what was going on, but there's no way I was going to put that out. I don't want to put out a bad product. For one, I don't want to do that to the page. I kind of pride myself on trying to keep the production as best I can. And of course, I definitely don't want to do that to the candidates. I want their message to be heard, and I want it to be in an engaging way. And most of the interviews have gotten a lot of views, a lot of traction. So all of them, for the most part, are between 4,000 and 6,000 views, which is a lot for our little community. So I know it's reaching people and they're being watched. And I think that's super important for all of you to pay attention. So this week, the Senior Center, Jen and Dawn at the Senior Center on North Street have been nice enough. They're letting me use a spot in there to film with the candidates. So I'm going to refilm. I've already rescheduled with Earl Persip, Sarah Hathaway, Kathy Moody. I'm just waiting to hear from Sarah Mule. We're trying to figure something out there. I know Sarah's really busy, so we're trying to figure that out. And then I also have Jacob Klein and his father, Lawrence Klein. So Jacob is running for Pittsfield School Committee, and his father, Lawrence, is running also for Pittsfield City Council at large. So they will also be on. So this week, I'm going to get all of those done. Kind of kicks us back a few days, but I will have those out in plenty of time before the election for people to learn more about the candidates. I also have some business promos coming up, some special stuff that I'm really excited about that I'll be filming this week, and some candidates from outside of the state. So many of you saw the one I did over the mountain in New Lebanon with Joanna Gallup Phillips, who's running for New Lebanon Town Council, and it was really interesting. The reason I said yes to these interviews from outside of the state is it's interesting to hear some of the issues that other communities are facing and comparing them to Pittsfield. And a lot of them are very similar. I'll also be having Dan Barber, who Dan is a friend of mine from my music days in the music industry, and Dan is running for town council in Clayton, North Carolina. And I'm really excited about interviewing Dan and hearing about some of the issues that their community is facing and what some of the challenges are that they have there within their, when you're talking about business growth, promoting local businesses, homelessness, all those issues. So I'm excited to talk to him about that. And it's just kind of gives a good barometer on what's happening in communities throughout the country. So those will be coming up. My friend Bobby Jean Brown, who I've had, me and Bobby have been going, or Bobby and I should say, someone corrected me on that before, have been going back and forth for a couple years. I had her scheduled on, and then I think she had to go in for a surgery. There was a few things that delayed it, and then there was some things on my end that I had to cancel and delay. So Bobby's going to be coming on, and I definitely am excited about that. Bobby and I have a very similar story with a situation that happened in our lives that was life-changing, and I'm really excited to talk to her about that and some other things we want to promote. From food pantries to clothing drives and things like that coming into the winter season. The Christian Center is one I've always been a big supporter of, and I'll be reaching out to them. But regardless, I'm encouraging people to donate to their food pantry, donate to their they clothe a lot of people. And again, coming into the winter season, it's crucial, and coming into the holiday season, it's crucial. And then some business promos, like I said, some really special, cool ones that I'm excited about that I'm filming this week. So there is a ton coming up, and I've been very busy. I was really bummed out what happened with those birds yesterday, and it screwed the whole day up. It was a long day of filming and doing all that, and unfortunately, none of it was usable. So, but yeah, that's it on that. So all that will be coming up in the next few days, and stuff coming out towards the end of this week. I think probably Thursday I'll be pushing some of the new business promos that I'll be doing with some of our new businesses coming online in Pittsfield. So that is going to be exciting. The candidate stuff will be back up by Saturday, probably Saturday morning. I'll be putting those out, and we'll go from there. So, pay attention, though. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you participate in this year's elections. And, the last video I did, I talked a bit about inspiring and people getting engaged and how important that is and how important it is for our politicians to get people inspired and get people engaged, and I mentioned that in the last video. I got a couple people that thought I was being offensive towards them. And that was definitely not my intention. I guess I could kind of see how it would be taken that way. I was bummed out that at the debates, the first night there was a couple city council debates and then the school committee one. And I was really bummed out that basically nobody was there. I said nobody was there in the last video. I thought I said other than a handful of people. But somebody messaged, said, I was there. So yes, there was a small amount of people there, but overall, that auditorium was empty on both nights. And when I talked about the city council at large debates, I said it was boring. It was boring. It was uninspiring. It was like watching a root canal, I think is how I worded it. And that's not a knock on the candidates. It's the forum itself. It's the way those are. They're not a debate. They're a question and answer. They are not a debate. And I was trying to come up with some examples, but I'm not going to touch on any national politics. But look on the national stage for politicians. And there are politicians on different parties that have inspired people, excited people, whether you like them or not. They have gotten people engaged. And I hate to say there's almost like a showmanship that goes with politics, but there is when it comes to elections. Charisma, a positive message, exciting people, that is a huge part of the whole political theater. And it just is. When it's a boring format, nobody's going to get involved. And I feel like that's a big part of why we don't see a high participation rate in local politics. You know, I've said this in the last couple of videos, and I'm going to keep saying it. There are many people predicting a 15 to 17% voter turnout, registered voter turnout for this year's municipal elections. That's awful. And we've been there. We've been that low before. Let's not see that. The school committee is a huge one. Now, do you want school committee members out there selling and creating that kind of excitement? Not really. Yes, you want them to inspire people to get involved, but it's a whole different kind of thing. And there's school committee candidates that I think we've got some fantastic candidates that are running. Jeff Berger, Sierra Battori, Sarah Mule, Heather McNeese. There's a long Jacob Klein. There's a list of a lot of new people coming in. And if I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of the ones off the top of my head that I've talked to recently. But our current city councilors, those are the ones that really need to inspire. They're the ones who vote on the budget. They're the ones who vote on your taxes and vote on, water and sewer bills and all those things. You're not going to get that with the school committee because even the city councilors are the ones voting on the school budget. So that's so important for them. I feel like it's part of the role of a city councilor is to get people inspired and engaged. It's really almost like their civic duty to try to get those numbers up when it comes to registered voters and participation rate. And I think I gave an example of when I was younger, the name Pete Arlos, which Pete Arlos has been gone a long time, and his name is still mentioned because love him or hate him, and I was too young to know anything about him, but he inspired and got people paying attention. And that's what we need locally. And that was the example I was trying to throw out there. I mean, there's people in the community that show up at these city council meetings and scream fascist and curse and do all these things. But believe it or not, they've inspired others to get involved because when they do that, they bring a crowd of people with them. I'm not for that message. I feel like if you have to start using vulgarity and start acting like that, it seems immature to me and kind of defeats the whole purpose. If you can't just do it with facts and knowledge and putting your own views out there in a professional way or a courteous way with a certain etiquette, knowing that it's public access television and people might be watching this at home with small children, but it is what it is. But the point is, there's people out there who do inspire, whether you like them or not. And I think everyone should have the attitude of trying to inspire. Everyone for running for city council, or when someone's running for mayor, or the mayor themselves, definitely when you're an incumbent, that's part of your role. Get people engaged and involved. Those question and forum things they hold every year, it's nice that they do it, but oh my God, it's like bring a blanket and a pillow with you. They're as boring as they come. And it doesn't even provide a platform for the candidates to really speak, to really tell you what they're about, and to, they're staring at a clock in a way that it's like, and you don't really get that from them. It puts pressure on them, and it's not easy just sitting in front of the camera like that, and you're staring at a digital clock telling you got 2 minutes or a minute to respond. You're not going to effectively get the message out there. And that's why I'm totally against those. Let candidates debate each other on the issues. If you're going to call it a debate, let it be a debate and have there be debating. And that was my point to all that. It wasn't meant to knock anybody. And to the few people that thought it was not intended that way. And I'm sorry you took it that way. But I'm not one of those people who was going to say what I meant to say was. No, I said what I meant to say. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said it. So I'm sorry that a few people interpreted it the way they did. But there you go. I hope I explained it a little bit better. So that's it for now. I could go on, and this would be way too long. It probably already is. So get involved, pay attention, and I've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up. So to all the people that have sent me messages on where's this or where's that, it's coming. It'll be right there in the next few days. Just got a few days delay because of those damn birds. All right, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll catch you all in the next day or two.